Hello and welcome back. I'm architect Sarah. Today, we're going to be visiting the last stop into our contractor site visits. This house, this D1, isn't just a regular house, it's the highest quality. It's a benchmark. They're going to be telling us more about how to make sure you get the same benchmark to your house, to make sure your house is just as on point. Hello and welcome back. Today we're meeting with engineer Yusuf again to show us the end product. Earlier, we started with them from the very beginning of excavation, and now we are here at the finishes. Not just finishes, it's completely finished. What a wonderful space and excellent execution here.
Thank you very much. Actually, let me give you a brief about this project.
Right.
It's a private D1. It's basement, ground, first and second. Built-up area is about 1,600 meters square. The land area is about 2,000 meters square.
It is massive.
Yeah, it's a massive one. The duration of the project, about 2 years from demolishing the old building, the old D1, and execution of this new D1.
Amazing. Now, before we get into the details, first of all, can you tell us what was the biggest challenge you faced in this space?
The biggest challenge in this space is we having the material here. Every single piece is cut to size.
Amazing.
There was a huge effort, a huge engineering effort to have these drawings before starting execution, to have all the pieces, flooring and walls and even ceiling cut to size.
Oh,
This is very important issue, internal and external.
of course.
The lines are all matching, the matching of the colors. This was amazing engineering effort in order to have this end product.
All right, so in this project, we can say this is the high-end project, right?
Yes.
And of course, high-end project comes with a high-end price tag,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Now, when we want to tell people the difference between someone who is like going for a mid to low and to the high end, when you talk about these things, you're mentioning detailed drawings and taking time to making sure the lines align, like every line is a continuation.
Yeah.
This is a lot of work, isn't it?
Yes.
And can
Actually, the high-end project usually have a lot of engineering consultant efforts. Consultant for the interior, consultant for the ceiling, consultant for the
Materials.
lighting. This effort is coordinated all together to have and to reach this product.
right. So synergy, it's what makes the difference between a high-end project and a low price tag project. And not just this, when we see it, it can obviously speak of the amount of work that goes into it. Now that we are in an internal space, let's talk a little bit about the finishes and the interior design. Many people go into it and thinking they can simply tell the contractor, give me a ceiling, give me that. But when we talk about all these consultancies coming together, it means that each single element was specified and taken its dimension and made into drawings prior to installation.
Yeah, sure, sure. If you look, for example, at the ceiling.
Yeah.
The ceiling, a lot of effort done in coordinating the lighting with the AC, with the different types of ceiling. Wood, solid wood, and GRG ceilings.
That's solid
A
wood.
lot of effort done there in order to reach to have this end product. For the walls, if you look here, the spacing between the stones is different spacing, but in order to have it continuous on all the projects, as I said, internal and external. This cannot be done randomly without engineering drawings to have this product. If you look at the floors, for example, also, the floors, if you look here and there, this line, this
I can see
grains,
the continuation, the
this
intention.
grains, these material, after the drawings done, are put in the ground, cut in order to match what is going to be fixed on the ground. And any single tile not matching,
You have to get rid
yes,
of it.
to get it out
Yeah.
of the project.
Hence the budget.
No problem in order to reach this high-end product.
Very nice. So when we talk about material selection and specification, was this done by your side, by the client? Like, who does that?
Usually we have an interior designer. That's what happened in this project. This material interior designer gave us his design. We start looking at the pricing of the material. Then we discussed it with the client and with the interior designer to reach the suitable budget. Everything has a budget at the end of the day, because there is nothing called open budget. It should have a ceiling for this. But we reached it with the client, with the consultant, to have the material selection.
Right. When you said solid wood, I can see the doors, I can see the ceiling. That's quite hard to work with, right?
Yes.
Do you have woodworks that happens in Kuwait? Is it all like customized?
All the wooden works done in Kuwait, in one of the famous carpentries here in Kuwait.
Right.
Solid wood, all the doors, all the screens, the ceiling, and the high-end finishes. Nothing wrong with the dimensions, with the color, in order to have this harmony between the flooring and the wood and the ceiling and even the walls.
Amazing, beautiful. This is all very amazing. You mentioned the word cap and no open budgets. I want to go a little bit into this. What happens to a person who wants the high-end quality but doesn't have the high-end budget? Can we,
Actually, we should differentiate between the terms quality and budget. Quality should be done in all types of material, the fixation, the material used. But the budget comes to the price of this material.
Right.
For example, when I do a fixation of a ceramic for a Kuwaiti dinar, or a marble with 80 dinar or 100 dinar meter square, the quality should be the same, but the difference is in the price of the material itself.
Right, right. So we're looking to kind of like tell people, sometimes, you know, give the bread to its baker or something like that, right? Something along these lines, where it's not about putting expensive materials, it's also knowing the skills that goes in.
Sure.
Trusting your contractor to make sure his execution is of a high quality in disregard of what material he's using.
We have many houses with a much smaller budget than this project, but the quality stays the same. Stays. We cannot tolerate quality.
Do you think this is what defines a good contractor?
One of the major things.
There are
that
many
defines,
more,
yes,
many more.
One of them.
Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing. All right, let's take a quick break and go back into learning more about the space.
Most welcome.
Thank you. Welcome back. Now that we are at the end product, we would like to know all the obstacles faced and all the tips that we can learn from in order to make your experience a better experience. Now that we're in the space, I'm sure you have faced a lot of obstacles. You have mentioned that this project took around 2 years, which I assume is a little long, I would say, or longer than usual. And you have mentioned it's out of the stone, all these materials that you have had from abroad, right? Can you tell me about what's the story there?
Yeah, actually, some materials were procured from outside Kuwait.
Okay.
Mainly the stone of walls, which is procured from Palestine. It's called Jerusalem stone.
Amazing.
And also the flooring, which all procured from Italy. Actually, according to the political situation in the last 1 year, some of these material were delayed according to the political situation.
Right.
But it was in the middle of the construction. So we have a lot of work done, but we were delayed a little bit, 1 month, 2 months, according to the procurement material.
Do you think there's a tip we can tell people, for example, especially if they know they have things that are coming from abroad, that they're like, for example, they requested materials. Some people are now into getting things from China, from Italy. Can you tell them that you have to kind of what's the
the most important thing while they are working in concrete,
okay,
in skeleton, even in excavation, to choose all the material required for the finishes and to have it on time in the project, because choosing them at this early stage will assure that completion of the project according to the schedule.
So there should be a timeline, they should be ordered prior and to make sure they arrive just in time for...
Yeah, this is called long lead items. Long lead items, for example, also the lifts. The lifts are procured from outside. When even it has some special features, it is brought from outside. So we have to have time for the manufacturing and shipping. And even the aluminium here, the aluminium also procured, it needs 4 months procurement from outside to start fabricating in Kuwait.
What other things do you feel like people need to take into consideration when they're in this process? For example, if I may, I can see that the doors are solid wood and even the ceilings, and there's a lot of solid wood that is happening. And we know that solid wood is very expensive, right? So I'm sure that you kind of couldn't install it until the ACs were on. Is this something?
Yes. Because all the wood works. It should be after the AC. But it should be engineered approved, it should be manufactured, ready for installation.
Right.
Because when you have the AC that is on, then you can have 1 week, 2 weeks to install the things. But if you need to think about it when the AC is done, take another delay of months.
In your experience, what can we tell our viewers that can help ease their process and ease their journey in contracting and choosing a contractor and like constructing their home?
They should give the specialty to its own people. This is very important.
Right.
When you are not specialized in construction, should have a project manager from your side, an engineer, even if it is a small project, part-time engineer, to follow up your works. Because the specialized people should do this work.
Right.
This is very important.
That is true. Many people have such hard time because they try to take on this venture by themselves and they underestimate all these things and disciplines they have to understand. Like you mentioned, there's a light consultant, there's the HVAC like the mechanical engineers. All of these aspects, also like long lead items and when to order them. There's so much to be done, and doing it alone isn't exactly the smartest choice.
Yes, this is the most important thing. when you are doing a project, even if it is a small project, give it to a specialized man, specialized engineer to follow up your work.
Man or woman?
Man, yeah. Sure, yes, sure.
Right.
A specialized person.
Of course, that's it. So a lot of the specialized people that we have met brought up chemistry in work, making sure there's chemistry between them and the client, between the client and the contractor. Do you think this is an essential aspect?
This is one of the most important things, that to have the schedule and to have the material selection, the engineering approval drawings, all of these should have a full harmony, a full chemistry between the project team. The project team is the consultant and the project manager, the client and the contractor. They should be understanding between all of them, and that's what happened in this project. We have excessive time meetings to choose material, to approve drawings, many discussions. All of these issues should be between all the parties to understand each other in order to reach this end product. This end product cannot be reached from insisting on one point of view. You have a view, I have a view, then we can discuss to reach the solution that the interior designer wants to see, the soul of the design.
Right.
How the design should match all the colors, all the materials. This is not an easy effort.
Yeah.
It's a huge effort done in this project to reach this point.
Of course. Many people speak about the good chemistry, and that chemistry creates synergy when everybody kind of works and aligned into their own discipline, but at the same time in line with everyone else. And when you create this positive environment in where you know you can be like you can speak and be heard in an open mindset, it creates all the difference for the designers and for the contractors, and I'm sure the client will be happy at the end.
Yeah, and also one important thing is the transparency. Everybody not hiding information, transparent for every. I have a problem as a contractor.
Of course, everybody assumes you're not.
I should mention it to the client, mention it to the consultant in order to find ways to have a solution for this issue. For example, if there is alternative material, alternative procurement strategy for the material coming from outside. These things, if the people who are interested, the stakeholders of the project, which are the client and the consultant and the contractor, the main stakeholders, if they have this transparency and this chemistry and harmony, that's the end product.
Amazing.
That's what we are going to reach.
Beautiful result. I just want to thank you so much for all the previous episodes we have done together. You have given so much information. I hope our viewers have benefited from this, and best of luck, guys.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Thank you
My
so
pleasure.
much.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back. I'm Kenya and I'm an interior designer. As an interior designer, the number one question that I always get asked is, if I want to start or design my room, what do I need to know and and how do I start? So today we're going to talk about those two different aspects. What do you need to know? Basically, there's 4 basic things that you need to think about before starting anything. The first one is, within every room, you want a focal point. So if it's in a living room, that focal point, it's not just about having a wall that's painted. It might be a wall that's painted, it might be a fireplace, it might be a stunning, beautiful piece of art that you've hung up onto the wall. It might be a stunning, vintage dining table that you have. That focal point is when you walk into the room, that's where the eye goes to. And from there, the eye moves back around the room, back to your focal point. So you always want to start off thinking about, what's the focal point of my room going to be? Whether it's your living room, even your kitchen. Within your kitchen, maybe it's a beautiful chandelier that you have. In the bedroom, maybe you've got a stunning 4-piece poster bed. Maybe you've got a piece of artwork. Maybe it's the wall behind the bed that you've done some sort of decor with, or board and batten on. Even in a bathroom, you still have a focal point. So number 1 is always think about the focal point of the room. The next point that you want to think about and to know is avoid furniture sets. It's nice, you go into a shop and you see, matching bed with side tables, matching dining room table with matching dining room chairs, sofa sets that are the same with the sofa, the side chairs, everything's matchy-matchy. Carpets, or sorry, your rugs, you've got the same rug in the hallway as in the living room, as in the dining room. You want to avoid furniture sets. They might be pretty, but they're boring. And we've all made this mistake. We're not being judgmental. I've done it myself as well. But you want to add culture to your room. You want to make your room unique. You want to make it you. So you want to avoid furniture sets. If you've already got the furniture set, think about moving those pieces around. Maybe you can move some of the chairs into the dining room or to another point in the room, and bringing other armchairs in with your sofa set. If you've got side tables for your bed, maybe you can paint them out, upcycle them, switch bedrooms with them. But at all costs, try to avoid furniture sets. The next thing that you want to keep in mind is to consider your visual balance. When you go into a room, you want it to be symmetrical, or if it's asymmetrical, but there needs to be a balance. You're not going to have a really small TV and a really small console on one side of the room, and yet you have a very large sofa set onto the other side. So think about, when you go into a room, that there's a balance with it, so that you're not feeling lopsided, it's not feeling off, but that you've got a balance. That visual balance also goes with your color as well, because you're going to be choosing a color scheme. And so you don't want items that are in a completely different color palette to the rest. So that goes into your visual balance. That takes us into looking at your paint color selection. So when choosing paint color selection, there's a couple things to really keep in mind. One is, within the room, with the balance, with the color selection, there's the golden rule of 60-30-10, 60%, 30%, 10%. 60% of your room is going to be your main color, and typically that's the walls in the ceiling, the walls can be the floor. And usually we tend to choose more neutral tones for that. But again, if you're somebody who loves color, it could go into that. So usually the 60% is on your walls. The 30% then are your furniture pieces. And then the last 10% is the black or dark gray. It doesn't have to be the exact same shade or the exact same tone. But if you're using warm undertones, you want to compare them with warm undertones. If they're cool undertones, you want to go with cool undertones. The other thing with paint is always test it out first. You go into the paint store, you look at the swatches, the color looks beautiful on the swatch. It's not going to look the same 99% of the time in your room. One thing you always want to do is get a couple of colors that are within that tone that you want. Paint them onto a white piece of paper with leaving a white border. Hang them up on your wall, and do 2 to 3 walls in your room, because your room has different lighting. So hang them up on the wall that's facing the window. Hang these color swatches up higher. Hang them on the other opposite sides of the room, and also one where the window is at as well. Keep them up for 24 hours. Don't put them down where you're looking down, because the lighting is going to be different. hang those swatches up higher. Look at them in the morning light, look at them in the afternoon, look at them in the evening. Turn the lights off, turn the lights on. This is going to give you exactly how that color is going to fill in your space. Number one mistake I always find is that people just see a color, they love it, they buy it, and then when they get it up on the walls, it's completely different. Also, your furniture. We usually choose that paint color after we've got the furniture. It might be a little bit more of a challenge with getting your furniture moved and covering it, but your furniture and the colors in your furniture change the color on the walls as well. So that's really important to think about. Wait until towards the end to choose your paint color. Do color swatches with it so you can see how it's going to go with your lighting, with the furniture that's in your room. And keep in mind your 60-30-10. So your furniture is making up 30%, 10% your accent. You know that 60% is going to be the main color that's on your walls, possibly your ceiling. Those colors will then come into your rugs. So now the big question is, where do I start? As a designer, I always start with the rug first. And people say, how could you start with the rug first? It's the most difficult piece in a room to choose. But that rug is what sets the color tone for your entire space. And again, you don't want matchy-matchy. It's not going to be the exact tone of your walls or of your furniture, but it's going to coordinate. So I always start with the rug first. And then they say, well, what are the mistakes, the most common mistakes when choosing a rug? Typically, the number one mistake, and again, no judgment, I've done it. I still have a room at home that has a rug that's too small. Choosing rugs that are too small. When you put a rug that's too small, either for the furniture or for the room, it can make your room look very fragmented. It also can make your room look smaller than what it is, and it can offset your furniture as well. So these happen in three main areas of the room. One is in your kitchen or your dining room. When it comes to rug placement under the kitchen or dining table, it's really crucial to get the right size here. When you're choosing that rug for your dining table or your kitchen table, you need to make sure that it's big enough. We tend to get some and we think, okay, well, the table fits on there and the chairs. You need to measure the table with the chairs pulled out. Your rug should always be that size, so that when you're sitting, you pull your chair out from the table, you're still sitting on the rug. So number one is getting rugs that are too small. Also in the bedroom, lots of times we'll see the rug is like just coming out from the foot of the bed and only 15-20 centimeters up. It throws off balance and makes the room fragmented. If you see a rug that's too small in a living room, sometimes it's just coming out from under the sofa, but then the coffee table's there. Or lots of times people will just buy one that's big enough, they'll put it in front of the sofa, in front of the chairs, and just the coffee table can sit on it. This makes it fragmented. You see your tile or your hardwood floor, then a carpet, then the floor again, then the sofa. You don't want the space to be fragmented. So when you're choosing that rug, let's say now for your living room size rug, you need to have it big enough so that at least the front legs of your sofa and your chair sits onto the front of that rug. It needs to come out far enough so that your coffee table, your end table sit on it as well. And there's still enough space for people to be able to walk around and still be on the carpet. You've got to make sure that that carpet rug is big enough. When it's too small also, it tricks the mind thinking that the room is also smaller. So when you've got a small room, again, having that bigger rug is going to help to make the space look bigger. It's going to look more complete, and it's going to look like it's put together. You just want to make sure that you don't put a rug that's too big either. You don't want it going just to within inches of the whole entire room, because then you can't see your beautiful flooring under there. One trick that you can do is sometimes it's hard to find a rug that's big enough to fit under that whole area, or they tend to be very expensive. You can buy a natural weave rug like a jute or a seagrass rug that's bigger, put it and then layer your other rug on top of it. So again, the eye is still going out. It adds depth to the room and to the space. It adds contrast, can save you some money, and it also looks cultivated. So I hope these tips have given you an idea of how to think about starting, choosing your rugs, what sizes, what colors, and how to place them.